Well, thank you all for coming. I'm Vince Dimartino, and now I'm going to be doing what I really like to do, is teach. And playing is sort of like going bowling for me. You know, I like doing it. It's fun. I don't care if I win. I don't care if I lose. It's all right. I enjoy doing it. I'm going to start out just by playing something. Okay. Now, how many people recognize that? Good. It's because I've never played that before. And it's never been heard before. I've never thought about it. I didn't pre-think what I was going to do. I didn't worry about what I had just done. And that's a really important part. So really, I was working on a bunch of things. I love to practice. You know, and practicing is really the key to everything. And what was I practicing, though? You know, what would you say was the element that I was practicing? Somebody? Mm-hmm. Dynamics? No, that's not an element of music. Yeah.
Sound?
No. Hmm? Odd intervals? No. No. Phrasing is close. Phrasing is close. Begins with E. Expression. Okay. Hopefully, I've captured your interest when I was playing. You had to use all your human knowledge to capture what I was doing. It wasn't Tomasi. Oh, I know what Tomasi sounds like. I don't like that Tomasi. Well, I don't like that Haydn. That's the kiss of death for your improvement. If you find things you don't like, dismiss those things and find things you do like about what you hear. And it draws you into music. Hopefully, I had you come in this way towards me to try to become part of what I was doing. That's what I want. I want people to tune in and to listen, just listen, to give me a chance to be expressive. Now, of course, the most important thing is, do we practice expression? And most of the time, you know, you hear people practice and they go, and I guess that's expressive in a very small way. It represents a style, possibly, but I don't think it sounded very unique. Now, most of you are here. Now, in an orchestra, you know, sometimes people are trying to tell you what to do, and that's one of the reasons I don't play in an orchestra. Because what happens if you don't play very well? Well, if you don't play very well, usually you get a baton. And then people teach you how to move the stick, and then you know, or they make you a percussionist, right? Oh, I didn't say that. And they give you two sticks, and then if you don't do well at that, they take one away again, and they make you a conductor again. So basically, you know, it seems that way sometimes. And that's a joke, really, because there's lots of fine conductors. But the point is to be being told how to play things and when not to play is really kind of subjective. And playing the type of thing that you're doing mostly here is you're competing as a solo person, you're competing as an ensemble, you're trying to come to some way to do what hopefully I've done a little bit of, is to be expressive and have people come into your world and to feel like what you're doing is absolutely spectacular. Yeah. So what are some of the elements of expression that make people... Y'all come on in. Don't stay out there. There's lots of empty seats. Don't feel like you got to stay in there. We'll even let the duck in. He can come in. Quack, Eric. Yeah. He's one of my students. That's his real name is Eric Millard, but I call him the duck. Not to say anything about his playing or anything, but it's the expression. You develop your own vernacular when you practice, you know, and hopefully you have good models to start with. I don't think it's really good to be so unique that nobody understands what you're doing. You know, when you're playing the Hummel concerto, if it doesn't sound like it's in the right period or, you know, in the right style or the right dynamic and all those things. But it's more of a general thing than that. It's expression within the style of music you're playing, and then developing a unique voice within that. Well, that's a lot of special talent, a lot of detail, a lot of practice. So what's the very first thing we do? The very first two things. There are only two things that are really important in practicing. One of them is when you came in the room, and also when I first started playing, you hopefully became very curious about what you were going to hear. Or even when I was warming up, saying, well, what is he doing? What is that? I was trying out this new mouthpiece because I like the sound of it. It's actually not a new mouthpiece. It's plated now instead of get brass poisoning or something. Yeah. So I wanted to make sure it was the sound. And I tried it out a little bit, make sure I could get a good attacks on it and things and not miss too many notes. And being expressive, you know, you were listening and you were curious. What are we going to do during this next hour? Okay? That's the most important and primary thing that you need to experience as a practice person. You have to want to change and be better. If you're not interested in changing, don't take lessons. You won't have a good time and your teacher will have a horrible time. You know? And when I taught at University of Kentucky on a regular basis, I didn't teach any first-year students at all. Not because I didn't want to, but because I felt like it was unfair to choose one student over another student and say, well, you're going to study with me and you're not. And I don't know them. I don't even know any of them, you know, really, except to hear their audition and think they sound good. So, but I taught a freshman trumpet class, which I'm doing this semester. I teach a freshman trumpet class at UK once again. I feel like I'm starting all over again. Back at the same, almost one office off from where I started 40 years ago. But I teach the freshman class at 7:30, and we do warm-up class together. We work together for about 20 minutes. And then I just hear the students play their materials. So every week, I can see how people prepare, how much they want to get better, how much time they put into it. And then at the end of the year, if I was going to be there next year, which hopefully there'll be a brand new trumpet teacher at the University of Kentucky next year, hopefully somebody young and exciting, and if I was going to be there next year, at the end of the year, a list would go up. And on this list would be the names of the students that would be studying with me next year, of which there would be some that wouldn't be. And those are the people who don't need a teacher, don't want to practice, don't want to change, and based on their habits, based on how they responded to the weekly contact and what they did from week to week. So the students that want to take trumpet as a class that they have to pass and have to get a grade in to get their degree, that's fine with me, as long as I don't have to teach them, because we would have a bad experience. They would have a bad experience, and so would I. So basically, the discipline part, the training, is very important. That is the second element. That's the second element of practicing. Discipline, self-discipline, and being willing to change. You know, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting it to change or to be better. In our case, expecting it to change. How many people have you heard? And you come back and in 2 weeks they're going. I can't understand that. Because I know they're studying with really good teachers. so there's an element here that has to change in our habits, our daily habits. If your teacher tells you to practice softly, and you can get better. Some teachers say play loud or loudly, and they get better. Some people say never play fast, and the students get better. Some people say never play slow, and the students get better. So what is it that makes the students better? See, all these different techniques, it's what the student does from the time they take their lesson until the time they take their next lesson. So practicing is something really, really important. It's a life-changing thing every day. It's not repetition. It's not doing what your teacher told you to do. It's using that information to take a trip. And every week, the telephone rings on my porch, and I go, hey, what's up? Oh, man, this week I did this, and I did this, and it wasn't working, and this is what I tried, and this is what happened, and blah, blah, blah. I said, oh, great, that's great. Let's work on it. But the students that just come in and just sort of do the things you tell them to do and hope that it's going to get better, you don't get better a lot of times. So you have to be fearless as a practice person. You have to have no fear of failure. Okay? When I first started practicing at Eastman, I was definitely afraid of failure. I never wanted to sound bad. So I could play a few things that sounded pretty good, So I'd play those things every day. And then, of course, I'd get in an ensemble, and I couldn't play anything. I couldn't play an attack. I couldn't hold one note out the right way. I couldn't play in tune. I couldn't do anything. So we have to be willing to change. You have to have curiosity and self-discipline. Those are the two most important elements that you need to practice. And one of the, I'm going to read you a short list of things that we all need to do in terms of be good practice people and good musicians as well. But does anybody have any questions about that? I mean, it's pretty cut and dry, isn't it, as far as that part of it goes. Now, expression. So what are we actually trying to do when we practice? I heard a really good statement. I was actually played in my very first Masterclasse less than 15 years ago. I'd never played in a Masterclasse in my life. And Timofey Dockschutzer said, oh, I've got these new etudes. Will you demonstrate these etudes? Oh, yeah, I'd love to do it. Yeah, it'd be great. Oops. Uh-oh. Bad boy phone went off. Okay, off. I said, oh, yeah, I'd love to play your etudes. That's great. So about a half hour later, I'm going, I've never played in a master class before. I started to get really nervous about it because, I just never thought about it, in a master class. And I learned the most important thing, and I've just been sort of I call it a dirt bomb guy. I just go from week to week. I've never really had a teacher. And, I just like to practice and try to get better. I'm not afraid to fail, obviously. So, he gave this etude, and he said, well, pick any one of these etudes out, and then just, play it in the class, and then I'll talk about it. Okay. So now, I was completely freaked out, honestly, because I just never thought about playing with the class. So I get into the class, and the first person goes up there. Oh, man, he was like, I said, oh, my God, that was horrible. I'm next. So I got up there, and the etude, it was really funny. It was I don't remember the etude, but I'll try to play something like it. It was just a bunch of sequences like that. And I have a picture of this that I have in plastic. And he had a translator there, And he has his hand here. And he says, this is good practicing. He said, you can never practice music without practicing technique. You can never practice technique without practicing music. So when we're practicing, We have to be practicing expression. Even if you're playing the most tough thing that you're trying to improve on technically, physically, you know what I mean? And that goes along with just about what any teacher says. You know, some people say, you know, talk about the sound, and some people are talking about the technique, the fingers. Those things are all right. But I think they're part of this bigger picture. So you don't lose sight when you're practicing. I mean, I used to practice, you know, like, gee, this is so hard. And I was going around in circles because I practiced so much and I didn't do anything. I'd start sounding the same, you know, or have the same problems. So you got to kind of always step back from it and listen. Today we're really lucky. You have so many wonderful devices like recorders, video recorders, sound recorders, the telephone, right? Nobody, you know, have you taped yourself this week? No, I didn't have time. What do you mean you didn't have time? You have a phone, don't you? Oh, yeah, I do. How many pictures did you take this week? Oh, I took a lot of pictures. I send them to every place in the world, all my friends. I said, well, did you listen to the way you played? Did you record yourself? Oh, I didn't have time. You know what I'm saying. Not everybody's like that, but it's kind of true, you know. We don't think about how much technology and how much assistance you have even in the practice room. If you're practicing something that's supposed to be in time, and even if you put the metronome on, even if you use a metronome, which I do, you put the metronome on and you play it, then you listen to your phone if it doesn't have video, or you look at the video. You'd be surprised what you see when you watch the video. I watched a video of myself the other day. This corner was doing funny things. I said, when did that start? What was that all about? So I started to do that, and I noticed one day that my tonguing, when I was tonguing, I saw little motions. I said, well, how come there's no motions when I play a long tone? All right, see what I mean? Little things. Now it's not sounding bad, I don't think, but why start the swerving car? You know, it's just better to stay down the middle, keep it going, change things. Don't be afraid to change. Anybody have any questions about any of that so far? That I want to. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Those things you were just talking about, like the motion in the corner doing funny things. I have some similar problems. How did you go about fixing
the motion in the corners? How did I go about fixing the motion that I was having?